There is a moment. A small moment. It happens in living rooms, in kitchens, in parks, in cars. You are talking to your dog. Maybe you are asking them a question. End quote. Do you want to go for a walk? End quote. End quote. Who and oppose? Es a good boy. End quote. End quote. What is that in your mouth? End quote. And then it happens. Their head tilts to one side. Their ears shift. Their eyes lock onto yours. And for just a second, the entire world stops being about words and becomes about something else entirely. You have probably smiled when your dog does this. You may have laughed. You may have even tilted your own head back at them, mirroring the gesture without knowing why. But behind that tiny, adorable movement is something far more extraordinary than you ever imagined. That head tilt is not just cute. It is a window into your dog and oppo's brain. It is evidence of evolution, of intelligence, of a bond so intricate that scientists are still working to fully decode it. Welcome to Dogunee Tales. Subscribe right now, because what you are about to learn will permanently change the way you feel the next time your dog tilts their head at the sound of your voice. We are going to walk through the real science behind this behavior, the competing theories, the surprising research, and the emotional truth that ties it all together. And by the end, you will understand that every tilt is your dog trying harder to understand you. And that is not cute. That is profound. 1. Let and oppose. Start with the most obvious question. Why does your dog tilt their head at all? What are they actually doing? The answer begins with something you use every single day without thinking about it. Your ears. Not your dog and oppo's ears. Yours. Humans are extraordinarily good at locating the source of a sound. We do it automatically. A car honks and you instantly know which direction it came from. Someone calls your name in a crowd and you turn toward them without even thinking. Dogs can do this too. But they do it differently. And the shape of their head, the shape of their ears, and even the length of their muzzle all play a role in how well they can do it. A sound wave hits both ears at slightly different times and at slightly different volumes depending on where it comes from. The brain processes that difference and calculates the location of the source. It is called binaural hearing. It is a system that works beautifully when your ears are on the sides of your head and you can swivel them independently. Dogs have that advantage. But here is the problem. A dog and oppo's ear flaps, the pinny, can actually block or muffle certain frequencies depending on their position. And a dog with a long muzzle can create a sound shadow that interferes with their ability to pinpoint exactly where a sound is coming from. When your dog tilts their head, they are physically adjusting the position of their ears relative to the sound source. They are changing the angle of their head to get a clearer, more precise auditory read on your voice. They are fine-tuning their most powerful sense to focus specifically on you. Think about that for a moment. Your dog is not just passively hearing you. They are actively working to hear you better. They are adjusting their entire body to catch every nuance, every tone, every subtle shift in your voice. That tilt is your dog saying, end quote, wait. Say that again. I want to make sure I heard you correctly. End quote. 2. But hearing is only half the story. There is another theory, and it may be even more remarkable. What if your dog is not just trying to hear you better? What if they are trying to see you better? This is the vision theory of head tilting. And to understand it, you have to understand something about how your dog and oppo's face is built. Look at your dog from the front. Really look. Notice where their eyes are positioned. Notice the shape of their muzzle. Notice how much of their own face might block their view of you, especially when they are sitting right in front of you and looking up. Dogs with longer muzzles have a significant blind spot directly below their line of sight. Their own nose gets in the way. You can test this yourself. Hold a treat directly in front of your dog and oppo's nose, right below eye level. Many long-nosed dogs will tilt their heads to get a better view of what you are holding. They are moving their muzzle out of their own field of vision. Now think about what happens when you are talking to your dog. Your mouth is moving. Your eyes are expressing. Your entire face is a symphony of emotional information. And if your dog has a long muzzle, some of that information may be literally blocked by their own nose. The head tilt repositions their eyes to see past their muzzle and read your face more clearly. This theory is supported by something fascinating. Breeds with flatter faces, like pugs, Boston Terriers, and bulldogs, tend to tilt their heads less frequently than breeds with longer muzzles. If the behavior were just about hearing, muzzle length would not matter much. But it does. Because for a dog with a long snout, seeing your full face requires a slight adjustment. That adjustment is the head tilt. Your dog is not just listening to you. They are trying to see every micro-expression that crosses your face while you speak. They want the full picture. The tilt gives it to them. 3. Now let and oppose. Go deeper. Because the head tilt is not just about mechanics. It is also about something far more complex. Intelligence. Social intelligence, specifically. In 2021, a groundbreaking study out of Hungary looked at head tilting in dogs and found something that stopped researchers in their tracks. The study involved dogs who were trained to learn the names of dozens of different toys. These dogs were what scientists call, unquote, gifted word learners. And quote, most dogs can learn a handful of words. These dogs could learn over 100. What the researchers noticed was that when these highly intelligent dogs were asked to retrieve a named toy, they tilted their heads significantly more often than dogs who did not have this exceptional vocabulary. The head tilt was not just a response to any sound. It was a response to a specific, meaningful verbal request. The dogs who understood more words tilted more. This suggests something remarkable. The head tilt may be an external marker of internal mental processing. It may indicate that your dog is paying close attention, that they are matching the sound of your words to a mental image of what those words represent. It may be the physical manifestation of a dog thinking hard about what you just said. When your dog tilts their head at the question in quote, do you want to go for a walk? End quote, they are not just hearing noise. They are accessing the memory of what in quote, walk in quote, means. They are pulling up the picture of the leash, the door, the outside, the feeling of the breeze. And the tilt is the outward sign of that inward search. That is not just hearing. That is not just seeing. That is cognition. That is your dog saying, and quote, I know that word. Give me a second. I and oppose, am finding it. End quote. 4. But why do some dogs tilt more than others? If you have had multiple dogs, you already know this is true. Some dogs tilt constantly. Others almost never do. What explains the difference? Part of it is physical, as we have already discussed. Long muzzle breeds like Collies, Greyhounds, and German Shepherds are more likely to tilt simply because their vision is more obstructed. Flat-faced breeds have less need to adjust. Part of it is age. Puppies tend to tilt their heads more than older dogs. This may be because they are still learning language, still forming associations, still building the mental library of words and meanings. Every word is newer to them, and so every word requires more processing. The tilt reflects that extra cognitive effort. And part of it is personality. Some dogs are simply more sensitive to human communication. They are more attuned to your voice. They care more about what you are saying. Dogs who are highly bonded, highly interactive, and highly motivated by human attention tend to tilt more. Because for them, what you say matters more. If your dog tilts their head a lot, it is not just a physical quirk. It is a sign that your dog is deeply engaged in communicating with you. They are not just there. They are trying. 5. There is another dimension to the head tilt that we are only beginning to understand. It may be linked to empathy. Consider this. When you tilt your head, when you look at someone with that curious, open expression that says, and quote, I and oppose, am listening, tell me more, and quote, what are you communicating? You are communicating attention. You are communicating that you care. You are communicating that the person speaking to you matters. Some researchers now believe that dogs may have learned, over thousands of years of living alongside humans, that head tilting produces a positive response from us. We smile. We laugh. We soften. We give them more attention. We say more words. The tilt has been reinforced by our positive reaction to it. But it may go even deeper than that. Dogs are masters at reading human emotion. They know when we are sad. They know when we are happy. They know when we are about to stand up and walk to the kitchen. And when they tilt their head, they are not just gathering information. They are signaling something back. They are saying, and quote, I am here. I am listening. I am trying to understand you. End quote. Your dog and oppo's head tilt is not just reception. It is response. It is part of a conversation that has been going on for 15,000 years. A conversation that began when the first wolf took the first tentative step toward a human campfire and tilted its head, trying to figure out what these strange creatures were all about. 6. Now let and Oppos, talk about the kind of head tilting that is not quite so cheerful. Because there is a version of this behavior that requires your attention. A normal head tilt is brief. It is responsive. It happens when you say something specific, and then the head returns to its normal position. But a persistent head tilt, one that lasts for hours or days, or one that is accompanied by other symptoms like loss of balance, walking in circles, rapid eye movement, or nausea, is something else entirely. This can be a sign of vestibular disease. The vestibular system is the part of the inner ear that controls balance and spatial orientation. When something goes wrong with it, the world literally tilts for your dog. The head tilt is their attempt to compensate for a world that will not stay level. This is more common in older dogs. It can come on suddenly and be terrifying for both the dog and the owner. The good news is that most cases of sudden vestibular syndrome resolve on their own with supportive care. But it is a veterinary emergency that should not be ignored. The difference between the two kinds of head tilt is everything. One is your dog actively, deliberately leaning into a conversation with you. The other is a medical problem. If you see a new persistent head tilt with any other concerning symptoms, stop reading and call your vet. 7. Let and Oppos, return to the beauty of the normal head tilt. Because now that you understand how much is happening in that tiny gesture, you will never see it the same way again. When your dog tilts their head, they are doing at least 3 things simultaneously. They are adjusting their ears to pinpoint the exact source and tone of your voice. They are repositioning their eyes to see your full facial expression past the obstruction of their own muzzle. And they are engaging in a moment of social cognition, matching the sounds you make to the mental representations stored in their memory. 3 things at once. All happening in the fraction of a second between your question and their response. And all of it driven by one single motivation. The desire to understand you better. Your dog could ignore you. They could sleep. They could stare out the window. But instead, they focus every sense they have on you. They tune their ears to your voice. They adjust their eyes to your face. They search their memory for the meaning of your words. And they signal back to you with that beautiful little tilt, that they are here, they are listening, and they care enough to try. That is not instinct. That is not automatic. That is a choice. A choice your dog makes every single time they hear a word they recognize, every time they sense an emotion they want to understand, every time they want to bridge the impossible gap between your two species and meet you somewhere in the middle. 8. Here is something you may have overlooked. Your dog tilts their head more when you use a certain voice. The voice you probably use without even realizing it. The high-pitched, melodic, sing-song voice that humans all over the world use when talking to their dogs. Scientists call it, and quote, dog-directed speech, and quote, and it is remarkably similar to the way we talk to infants. Research has shown that dogs pay significantly more attention to dog-directed speech than to normal adult speech. The higher pitch, the exaggerated intonation, the slower pace. All of it captures their attention and signals that what we are saying is meant specifically for them. And when we use that voice, the head tilt increases. Because your dog has learned that this voice means something. This voice is for them. This voice carries words they might recognize, emotions they can read, and attention that is directed solely at them. So the next time you find yourself talking to your dog in that ridiculous, adorable voice that you would never use in public, do not stop. Your dog is not judging you. Your dog is tilting their head, literally and figuratively, leaning into every word. 9. There is one final piece of this puzzle. And it is the piece that connects everything else together. Have you ever noticed that the head tilt is often slightly asymmetrical? That dogs, like humans, tend to tilt their head more often to one side than the other? This is not random. It is related to brain lateralization. The left and right hemispheres of the brain process different kinds of information. In dogs, as in humans, the right hemisphere is more involved in processing emotional information and novel stimuli. The left hemisphere is more involved in routine behaviors and familiar stimuli. And because the right hemisphere controls the left side of the body, and vice versa, a dog who tilts their head to the right is engaging their left brain more actively, and a dog who tilts to the left is engaging their right brain. What does this mean? It means the direction of the tilt may tell you something about how your dog is processing what you just said. A right tilt may mean they are processing something familiar, like their name or a well-known command. A left tilt may mean they are processing something unusual, something emotionally charged, something that requires deeper analysis. The tilt is not just a tilt. It is a neurological indicator. It is a visible sign of an invisible process happening inside your dog and Oppo's S-brain. And you get to witness it. Every single time. 10. So where does all of this leave us? We started with a simple question. Why does your dog tilt their head when you talk? And we have found that the answer is anything but simple. It is a story of acoustic precision, of visual adjustment, of cognitive processing, of emotional connection. It is a story that spans evolutionary history, neurological science, and the deepest bond between two species. But here is what I hope you take away from this. Every single time your dog tilts their head at the sound of your voice, they are doing something that no other animal does in quite the same way. They are not just reacting to a noise. They are not just waiting for a command. They are actively, deliberately, persistently trying to understand you. They want to know what you are saying. They want to know how you are feeling. They want to bridge the gap between your world and theirs. And that little head tilt, that tiny beautiful gesture that makes you smile every time you see it, is the outward sign of that inward effort. It is your dog saying, and quote, I am here. I am listening. I am trying my hardest to understand you. End quote. And if that is not love, I do not know what is. The next time your dog tilts their head at you, do not just smile. Do not just laugh. Take a moment. Really take a moment. Look at those eyes. Look at those ears. Look at that beautiful, ridiculous, magnificent creature who has been evolving beside you for 15,000 years and who still, every single day, tries just a little harder to meet you where you are. And tilt your own head back. Let them know you are listening too. If this changed the way you see your dog, share it with one person whose dog deserves to be understood. Subscribe to Dogunee Tales and drop a comment below with the word or question that makes your dog tilt their head the most. We read every single one. Until next time, watch your dog. Really watch them. That little tilt is not just cute. It is profound.